question to really all the panel, but I'm going to start with you, Malcolm, is that I've seen that you were on the television the other day and you were asked what gay people had said to you after the supposed joke that you told came out. Now, you said that they said, "Go, Malcolm, go." I'm gay. I'm not saying "Go, Malcolm, go." I'm saying apologise, because you refused to apologise earlier on this evening. I'm sure there are tens, if not hundreds, of other gay people sat in this room just now who are horrified at what you said, as I'm sure everyone is horrified at what you said. So, on behalf of all of them, I would appreciate an apology. And to the rest of the panel, if we have seen the vile rhetoric come out of some of the Reform UK candidates, 5 of them have now gone, how do we cope with that if that is brought into the Holyrood chamber?
Okay, so I gave a fulsome apology 8 years ago. As I said, I was not in public life, and I have a lot of gay friends, and they know that I'm not homophobic.
Some of my best friends.
And they know, so therefore my apology was made then.
What about tonight?
It was made fulsomely there, and they know that I'm not homophobic, so therefore that is why they have given me a great deal of support.
If you were sorry then, surely you're sorry now.
Moving on. The apology was made, amends were made.
So you should be able to make it again.
Okay.
Moving on to the more material question about oil and gas.
You're not really sorry then, are you?
Moving on to oil and gas.
Nasty little... Let Malcolm respond.
I think when you make a mistake and when you apologise, it doesn't actually matter when you did that, because if your apology is genuine, you will hold that apology for the rest of your life. So if you're asked by an injured party, you can repeat it. If you're asked by others about an event, you can repeat the apology, because I think that's what being human is really about. How is the next chamber going to deal with it? You've just tacked into my most nerdy love of standing orders. The chamber has a requirement of courtesy and respect. I would like to think that I can understand what courtesy and respect means, and that means if you drift beyond what is courteous to each and every member who is in that chamber and the people they represent, if you fail to be respectful towards each of those members in the chamber, irrespective of the characteristics and human rights they bring into that chamber and everyone they represent, I would hope that the presiding officer, with the power that is given to them by everyone else into that chamber, calls it out, stops it, demands an apology if necessary, and if the scenario is such that it cannot be done, then that member's invited to leave, because they are sent there by constituents who elect them. They represent those communities, and if they cannot reflect the best of those communities, they should not be able to participate for a period of time.
So on the subject of conduct in the chamber, I think it is incumbent on all of us who are privileged enough to be elected to the Scottish Parliament to reach for the better natures of the people that send us there and reflect the better natures of our constituents. I don't see that in some of the behaviours that we've seen from Reform.
I think if Malcolm were truly apologetic 8 years ago, he'd be able to say it tonight. And I think it really demonstrates that you are unfit for election, Mr. Offord. And, you know, that perhaps is telling, given that you have never been elected. And I understand it was donations which eventually got you your position in the Lords, which I would like to see abolished, incidentally. But how do we take on Reform? We take them on how utterly hollow their arguments are, how they have absolutely no vision for our country and absolutely no experience to deliver any of it.
Ryan, I'm sorry you were treated with such contempt when you asked your question. I think the tone speaks for itself, and I'm afraid it is, you're right, what we're going to have to expect if the far right do form a bloc in the Scottish Parliament. We've already seen some pretty bad behaviour in the Scottish Parliament in the last session and the one before that. And I think that I think there's been a growing acknowledgement across MSPs from a number of different parties that presiding officers need to have the willingness to take action when that happens. Just very recently, we saw one member thrown out of the chamber for misbehaviour. And I think, well, I will certainly be asking the candidates for the new presiding officer, if I'm lucky enough to be re-elected, I'll be asking what approach they intend to take to robustly enforcing those principles that were spoken about earlier about respect and courtesy in the chamber.
Given the rate at which Reform is losing candidates, we might be spared that through a process of natural attrition. I think my issue is, amongst many issues with Reform, is I just don't think they're a serious party. And we've had unserious parties before. And I think Patrick might be the only person on the panel who remembers the Scottish Socialist Party in the second session of Parliament, Tommy Sheridan's.
They still have a street stall.
So I'm sure they're still very popular on their street stall, but they were a party who came in wanting to shake everything up. They got involved in all sorts of stunts, disruption, and misbehaviour. And where are they now? They've disappeared because the public said, we don't like this. So hopefully that is a pattern that Reform will follow if they get unserious and the public will not forgive them.